Hello, friends. I have just a quick unboxing and a little look. I think I know what this is. Um, and we're gonna find out. So, well, you'll probably know if I post this video. You'll know exactly what it is. So what I think it is the Curious Oracle, which is sort of in an artist's proof. Uh, yes. Sorry, I have a little bit of a cold. The artist has sold out of her original stock, but she's got a couple decks, and they are up on Etsy, that were sort of, she didn't feel like were perfect from a production standpoint, but she's sort of selling as is editions. So we've got a little. Let me just push back and see if I can. Here's one of the cards that. This came in the box. And then there's a little card and an artist card. So the deck itself is not perfect because it is sort of, from the artist standpoint, wasn't worth selling in the initial print run. But I sort of took a chance because why not? You know what I mean? Perfection is overrated. So let's take a look and we'll see how kind of off it is, if it's even that bad, and see how we feel about it. So yoink. And then, so it's pretty tiny. If I were to compare it in size to another deck, like, here's just a normal Rider-Waite Smith. So you can see it's a lot smaller, but I really like this box. It actually reminds me of, it's very similar to the box. Yeah, it's very similar to the box my business cards came in when I ordered from Mo. So let's see. Try to get my framing better than my last video. So a little flip, not a flip top, but sort of a slide box. And so even though this isn't like a perfect deck, it actually is well packaged. So it's got a little paper sleeve. Rip that off. And then let's get it in frame. So the artist card, being the most curious collection of artifacts, symbolic and divinatory in nature, pieced together from one artist's imaginatory musings, this pictorial key may be utilized as both a mystical and pragmatic tool for gaining insight to questions and enlivening topics of discussion. This is an artist's proof. A limited number of decks were printed with an off-center margin, which were, in my opinion, not acceptable to be included in any of the 3 original editions. So things are a little off, but even just sort of looking at it from right now, it's like, it's so minor that it's almost like, who cares, you know? So I'm just gonna flip through it and just chat. It doesn't come with a book, but there is a PDF, I believe, that's downloadable, which I have to do. So this is the first card. It's Lotus Fire. It's called Energy. The cardstock is really nice. Honeybee, this is Nourishment. Lily says Growth. Is that what that says? I think that's what that says. Or Youth. I'll have to look. Now I know that this is divided into suits, and so this is the first suit. This is Tree, and it says Lineage. Broken Wings, and it says Wound. Mercury Rising, it says Medicine. Phoenix, Rebirth. I will say this cardstock is really, really nice. It reminds me a little bit of kind of like the Truth and Story Lenormand, the Story and Color Lenormand. It's a little thicker than that, but nice. The backs, as you can see, are borderless, and what you can't quite see, yeah, is the texture. this isn't the texture of the card, it's the texture of the art, which I think is really beautiful. So this is just a really, really nice deck so far. So next up is the anchor, and that says stability. Mudra, I would assume. Expression. The gull, journey. Oh, that's beautiful. So far, the only thing I can see about this deck is that it's slightly off-center, which I can understand as an artist would drive me nuts, but as a consumer, I would not even know, had I not known this was an imperfect deck. The sword, this says... I think that says Triumph. The one thing I will say about this deck is that this bottom... font is difficult to read, but not terrible. So this is the arch, and it says passages, wings, escape. I kind of like that the keyword is not easy to read. We're in the second suit now, by the way, because I don't always love keywords on cards, so it's sort of like, oh, okay, well, I can't quite see it. Ouroboros, eternity. Crescent moon, intuition. The owl. I love owls. You know, I'm an owl freak. When I was a little kid, my grandmother actually knitted me a sweater with an owl on it because I loved owls. And one of my first jokes, one of my first puns, when a little witty kid I was someone asked for something and I said, I will get it. You know, get it, I'll get it. So that says messenger. Twilight, this is the back of the cards. It says veil. Compass rose, direction. Oops. The crypt says slumber. Ether, dreamscape, moonrise, illumination. This is the third, that was the third suit. We're now moving into the fourth suit. This is the rose, and it says beauty. Crowned heart is love. The fountain is creativity. Love that. Orange grove, fertility, I think. Fidelity. Yeah, fidelity. The blackbird is grief. The green woman, nature. Make sure I still got these in frame. Yeah. Evening star, inspiration. The raven, intellect. Love that. The torch, intention. Thistle is pride. I know a lot about the symbology of thistle. That's interesting. The shield is communication. Communication. Is that what that says? Conviction. That makes more sense. I was going to say, the shield and communication don't seem to go hand in hand. Conviction. The oh, I love this. The mask, deception. The prayer wheel, meditation. The spider is wisdom. We have suit 6 now. That's the cock. It's luck. The gargoyle is a guardian. Really like that. The jewel is riches. The sun, recognition. Snowflakes. Oh, I like that. Snowflake says ephemera. Ephemera is what snowflakes is. The dragon is... What does the dragon say? Prosperity. The ruby cup is magic. The child spirit is potential. Children in cards frequently make me like unhappy. In fact, I was just talking about how one of the things that's kept me from investing in the Dreams of Gaia tarot is that child card, which I just really don't like. This one though, I kind of really like. I think it's quite nice, and the idea of potential, I really like. I love the texture of this art. Echo, reflection. Apple blossom is renewal. Nazar is protection. Not sure. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing these things. Memento mori is goodbye. Alchemy is transformation. And then finally, the White Queen is hierophany? Hierophany. I don't know what that means. I'll have to look that up. So it's a really nice deck. There are, as I was going through the back, you may have noticed there's a couple of the backs that are a little sort of like wonky from a printing point of view, but you know, nothing terrible. So let me actually just sort of do a little reading and see how it reads. I have a question in mind. I'm not going to share it because it's actually a real question, but I will share the reading. Well, maybe I'll end up sharing the question too. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm wondering if this deck was printed by Moo, because that box is very Moo-like. Shuffles really nicely. It really is a nice cardstock. It really sort of unexpected, and I love the box. This was not a super expensive deck. Whoops. I need to calm down. I just get so excited. So you know, if you watch my channel, that I am not a great lover of Oracle decks, not because I don't like them artistically, but I don't find them incredibly useful. The Oracle deck that I actually really do like is the Oracle de Reflet, Oracle, you know, I feel like I should pronounce that better given my French heritage, but I don't want to mangle it even more. But I really like that deck, and this actually kind of reminds me of that one in its sort of choices. This is a little maybe headier than the Oracle of Reflections, which has a fairly grounded, sort of fairly practical quality to it, but all right, I'm going to do my usual 9 card here. So we've got Alchemy in the middle, Transformation, Pride, the Thistle, Expression, Deception, whoops, Intuition, Escape, can't read the dragon again is, what does it say? Prosperity, gosh, wisdom and creativity. So as always, you know, as I read these, I tend to start with the middle card and the first card. So 1, 2, to give me a sense of the overall theme of the reading. So I've got a theme of transformation and pride. So we start with this suggestion of transforming pride. So that's an interesting idea. It's an interesting concept because, you know, pride is a very complicated thing. There are things we're proud of, and yet there's pride, which is a different quality. So there's this interesting thing here of pride and ego and kind of the transformation of the two. So we have pride transforming, or transforming pride, however you say it. And then I look at the rows in the columns. So the first row is pride, expression, and deception. We have thistle, mask, and mudra. So pride, expression, and deception. So here's an interesting thing, being proud of your ability to express deception. To me, when I think about a mask, in this case, I'm actually thinking about my career in the theater. So you take pride in your ability to express this dance of deception, this sort of mask, these masks. Masks used to be a name for a story, so I'm kind of free associating there. But a lot of pride comes from that ability, and that may be transforming. Then we've got intuition, transformation, and escape. So there's a suggestion here of, wanting movement, of wanting more. You know what I mean? Like, you're listening to your intuition, and that transformation that's happening is making you want to kind of move to a new place. Which in my case is true sort of very physically as I try to, think about leaving this apartment and finding a new one. So there's like a disconnect. And then we have, again, prosperity, wisdom, and creativity. Prosperity combined with wisdom and creativity suggests to me this idea of feeling prosperous and like the brain and your output. You know what I mean? So your true prosperity isn't monetary. It comes from your sort of brain and your creative output. So there's an interesting series of things happening here. The first column on the left, pride, intuition, and prosperity. That's a unique combination because, again, it sort of seems to be reminding you that like the thing that you're full of, the thing you have most of that makes you most prosperous, is that intuition, which you're sort of proud of, that sort of sense of knowing what's going on in the world, and that is sort of where the true prosperity lives. In the middle column, we have expression, transformation, and wisdom. So here's the thing where, wisdom is kind of transforming the way you go about expressing yourself. So as you learn, you kind of grow and you change how you're expressing. And then in the final column, we've got deception, escape, and creativity. And it suggests the thing that moves you is that work, that creative work, that sort of is that dance, that mask, that sort of artifice of making, of sort of creating. So, when I asked the question that I asked, without getting to too much personal detail, it's sort of, it seems like there's just a restlessness that's born of a time of transformation, in essence, because, there's sort of thinking about my life at the moment, sort of there's a deficit of kind of this creative energy right now. So it's interesting. So anyway, this is an interesting deck. I think, it's definitely worth exploring. I think, especially, I don't know if there's going to be another printing or when, but if, you're looking at this and it's still up on Etsy, there's some more artist prints, I would grab it, because from a quality standpoint, I can barely tell they're not centered. Just looking at them here. So, I was worried there might be like real wonkiness, and I just took a chance, but I think it's great. And I think it's an interesting deck. You know what I mean? I think it's going to be interesting to work with. As you can see, it wasn't super easy for me to read. It is sort of getting into the ephemeral thing, which I'm not totally drawn to right now. Like, what I want to know is, from readings, is sort of like practically, how do I solve problems? How do I do, like, what are the steps I take? But, it is an interesting thing to sort of look at. And I think that the art is gorgeous. There's sort of a gentle quality to it. I'm going to have to get the PDF to see what's what. So I hope this was interesting and fun to look at, and be well.